hell may have frozen over. Because there were so many points of an older Complex Sneakers podcast that I agree with bar for bar, word for word. Well, for some of them, not necessarily Joe, but there is one part where he and I are very much so connected. So I want to react real fast to that today. And yeah, do you see the hat? Listen, shout out Sue Bird. She will be the first WNBA player to receive a statue. So that is amazing. All love and respect to her. I am appreciative. Lift and Legacy is a brand owned by women, and they focus on women's hats for women's basketball, or hats, I should say, for women's basketball. So absolutely love this hat. The embroidery of Sue Bird is insane. So, okay, back to the actual video at hand. I've had my fair share of criticism for Complex Sneakers in the past, and I mean, who hasn't? Have you seen some of their list once we get to the end of the year? Okay, they have been so out of touch at times, and I stand behind what I've said in the past, okay? Full force. I stand behind what I said. I'm not changing anything that I said. However, just as I criticize brands, whether it be Nike, Jordan, Adidas, it doesn't matter, okay? I have had criticism for them, but I also have to give respect where it is due, and again, I don't know if hell froze over. Maybe it is just, people say, hey, like, when you get older, you'll understand. I mean, if you know what Italian movie that's from, when you get older, you'll understand, then you are one of those ones. But maybe it is this. Maybe it's because I'm a little bit older, right? I understand, because I'm pretty sure all of them are older than myself. So, of course, I'm talking about Matt, Brendan, and Joe. But now it's no longer Brendan with the crew, because he has now taken a position at StockX. So, wish him all the best in that new chapter of his career. But yeah, let's react to this. So this was on a podcast again a few months ago, and I just found so many of their talking points were the very same ones that I've had over the past few years as I've pared down my collection. So a lot of us are here, right? We're paring down, we're decluttering, we're getting rid of the fluff, we're trying to be much more intentional than we ever have with our sneaker collections. It's been a journey, and I'm still like nowhere near done. So let's go ahead and react real quick to a few of these.
I still think no sneaker storage units ever. I know that there are a lot of people who have as many sneakers as we do who are more than willing to spend money on a storage unit. But my thing, and I've said this before, is if I have shoes overflowing to the point where I need a storage unit, the resolution is to get rid of sneakers, to sell sneakers, to donate sneakers, to give them away. It's not to pay money indefinitely to host a space that can house my sneakers for some untold years. I just feel like when I get to that point, it's like, let me have less sneakers. I feel like there are always ways to cut down, and there are always shoes that you can look back on and be like, I don't need this. You're looking at me like you don't trust me for this take.
I disagree, and it's false.
I stand with Brendan on this. I'm sorry, Joe, but I'm with him. If it ever got to the point where I felt I needed a storage unit to house additional sneakers that I'm never wearing. Mind you, this unit is separate from your home. It's separate from your living residence. Therefore, you have to make the effort to go outside of your normal day-to-day life to even get access to these shoes to then be able to wear. And as a reminder, we only have 2 feet. So I've never gotten to that point, and I could never let myself get to that point. And again, this is just me personally. If you choose to have a storage unit because it is everything you have wanted to be able to house all of the sneakers you want, whether it be in your home or somewhere else, that is amazing, and I love that for you. I am simply sharing my perspective. I can't fathom paying additional fixed overhead every single month for something I'm not using. I can't. And Americans do it all the time, right? It's a very American thing to pay a fixed amount of overhead every single month for space you're not using. For things you're not using. How many people have garages that are filled to the brim, you can't even get your car into the actual garage because you have so much stuff in there that you're actually not even using day to day? How many people will buy additional square footage in their homes just to be able to house things? That has been the dream for so many of us in sneakers for a very long time. I'm just no longer there. But there was certainly a point, even a few years ago, where it would be amazing for me, let's say, if I chose to get a bigger apartment than what I'm in now, because I have no desire to deal with home ownership at all. Miss me there. But if I wanted to get a bigger place, right? And I got it just so I could have like that extra room to be able to house my sneakers. I wanted that. That was a dream. It really was. it would feel just like an overwhelming nightmare at this point because I would be paying like so much more, right? You pay for that square footage. You're paying so much more to be able to house things that you're not even using. So I am 100% with Brendan. I think it's hilarious that Joe's like, no, I don't agree with you. Of course he doesn't. He has 2 storage units and he says to Matt that, well, I visit them like once every few months. My goodness. Like the amount of the utility is so low for those pairs in the storage unit. Again, I personally could never do it, but let's continue. I might get some judgment in the comments section, but you know what? I get it, Joe. The 50 Uniqlo shirts, I get it.
And what tee was that? And Uniqlo posted, like, this is the Uniqlo Aerism tee, which I said the Kith Leonard tee is amazing. The Uniqlo Aerism tees are
the number one. GOAT. So on your Mount Rushmore?
So that goes viral. Yes, easily. You know that.
Yeah.
So that goes viral. I have like 50. And I'm
you
like...
have 50 Uniqlo UTs like that?
Yes.
I really do. I own, I think, like... Can't believe I'm admitting this. Like 22 just blank white shirts of some kind. I don't mean collared shirts. I just mean like regular t-shirts. They're all different cuts as well. Okay, they can be the really relaxed fit. They can be V-neck. They can be crew neck. They can be slim fit. I go through just it really is like the hunt for like the perfect silhouette in a white tee that you want because you need different silhouettes for different fits. Okay, I firmly stand by that. So I don't quite have 50 like he has, but I've gotten up there, and there is like a recent pickup that I have for what I think is an amazing heavyweight cotton boxy tee. So let's run that down really fast, plus 2 other pickups that were all on sale for I think like $25 and under. First up, the Hollister Men's Relaxed Cooling shirt on the left. This shirt has a material on the interior of the shirt that really helps keep your body cool to help wick away sweat. It feels great on the skin. And so, yeah, one of the best shirts you can probably pick up for the summer. And this was on sale for $10. I love the coral colorway, so I want to use this as an accent color for a lot of different fits. And then in the middle, so this is the heavyweight boxy tee I just spoke on. It really is that great weight shirt. It's 100% cotton as well. I know that matters to people for the longevity of care of a shirt. I like how the sleeves come down a little bit longer, and I just love where it falls at the hip. So all too often, some boxy shirts, maybe they don't fall quite low enough, and then some will still be just way lower than I want. They'll fit like a traditional tee. No, this is nice and boxy. And let's go over to the far right. So I have on a pair of baggy cargo pants, very similar to ones I've worn in the past. These aren't super baggy, they're just baggy. I went with the tall, however, so I could have a little bit more stacking at the bottom. And you guys see this WNBA hoodie? It is brand new. I have every intention to crop it so that it falls just above the boxy shirt. So go ahead and comment your thoughts below. Okay, so now that I'm sure we're judging me for all of the white t-shirts that I own, I will never be without one, as well as white tanks. But you guys know I have like plenty of these as well, probably like close to 10 at this point.
Yeah, I just think that getting a storage unit essentially is just like a death sentence for the shoes. So why not just get rid of them?
Yeah. I think it's a Band-Aid.
It's obviously a set it and forget it, which to me takes a lot of stress sometimes.
But there was another really great point made by Brendan, and it was like the fact that, you know, when you have a storage unit, it's like a death sentence for your sneakers. And maybe that is part of what I've thought about. If I were to ever get into a position where I need to store my sneakers somewhere else, does it become like a death sentence to the point where you're just not going to end up wearing them? And I believe that's true, right? If I were to store things at my mom's house, right, that she's like, you know, a state away currently, how am I actually accessing that, right? It's like a death sentence for that item. I'm clearly not going to end up really wearing it. It's not going to really be at the top of my mind ever. And I feel like before you even get to the storage unit part of sneakers, you would probably have parts of your closet that are like a death sentence for things, okay? Where once it's there, once it hits this little nook, this little cranny, this little corner, that's it. It doesn't really get worn. How many of you have like parts of your closet where you haven't even really gotten to it? And I don't know how long when it comes to clothing. So sneakers are no different. So I firmly agree with the death sentence part of a storage unit. Comment below if you're somebody that frequently goes. Can you tell me how frequently you go to your storage unit? How often are you swapping these pairs out? I would be really curious to know. I know based on like where you're located, sometimes you just don't have in-home storage, right? I know New York is just, I don't know how New Yorkers do it, okay? okay? Because you guys are just, it feels like you're never really given quality square footage for a reasonable amount of money. You're not. I've seen some of your closets. I really feel for you. So I can understand having storage if you are living in a place that's like really cramped, doesn't give you space. I can get that. The one thing I really did appreciate about this segment as well, before we move on, Brendan talking about his girlfriend, the fact that she had an Air Max 90 infrared and she just ran that into the ground, and then she would buy a new pair and she would run it into the ground. That was the true example of having that everyday go-to pair. That was her everyday pair. She wore it all the time, okay? Night and day, rain, shine, doesn't matter. She wore that pair into the ground. I don't think many of us can say that. Now, if you have a dog where you have to be outside, and trust me, there is going to be a pair that gets truly just beat to hell. It will. Been there, done that. It will truly get beat to hell. But I don't know that, like, I have a pair in which, again, I run them down into the ground. That doesn't happen. So I really do admire that. It probably does have to be people that are on the peripheral of, I think, sneakers.
Around on this conversation
The
about
Uniqlo tee?
yeah, we need another 20 minutes on that for sure. Yeah. No. The things I wanted to say is between these subjects about like buying less shoes or trying to get away from buying multiples, and then also this idea of cutting down on shoes or getting rid of shoes. As much as I believe in those things, it also makes me a little bit sad, or it's a little bittersweet, because I'm like, oh, are we aging out of the peak of our obsession with sneakers when it comes to, I want 1 million pairs, I want to buy 5 pairs of everything I like, I want 400 pairs at home.
I'm not saying that you can't, as you get older, still have that thing, but I just think that, like, you can still be just as much of a sneakerhead, or not. The word sneakerhead, whatever qualifies that, right? You know what I mean? Like, what is a big sneakerhead, right? But I think you can still have your same admiration towards sneakers in footwear as you get older.
Same level of passion.
And not have the same consumption around them, right? Or just like your priorities change, right? Like maybe you want to save up and buy a house. Like maybe you're not spending $1,500 a month on sneakers.
Okay, this is the point here where it really brings everything just full circle. For everything I've been saying here on my channel. And so many of you have joined in the comment section to share the same. So I really appreciate you. And I'm actually going to run down some of their comments because they were just like spot on. Again, adding value to the conversation. But again, talking about sneakers, and Brendan said, hey, like, have we reached the peak of ourselves being sneakerheads? And Matt said, no, you can still have the same passion, not the same consumption. And I don't know if there's a better way to describe what I felt in the last year since the end of 2023. It really started like partway through 2023 because I bought far less sneakers in 2023 than I did in 2022, certainly in 2024, and then leading now into 2025. And do I suffer? Certainly not to the degree that Brendan did, but the fact that Joe was like, hey, like, you can't really get rid of these pairs as fast as they may be coming in. It's just based on kind of the nature of what you do. And I do. I have pairs that come in from brands and from friends and from loved ones. So yes, I do have pairs that still come in that I'm not necessarily buying. And like I said, 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. It does feel that way sometimes. But I have the same passion. I do not have, nor do I want, more importantly, the same consumption. And so when you think about individuals who are doing this at such a high level, right? They are on every PR and seating list you could possibly think of. They have great relationships with individuals, whether it's designers, people working on these teams, the actual collaborators themselves. And even they have gotten to that point where they're like, you know what? Sometimes enough is enough based on the rate at which you are consuming these pairs. And I just, I didn't need the external validation, but I won't lie. It does make for me sounding like I'm not totally crazy, even though people will sometimes make it seem that way in the comments. So I actually just want to go to some of their comments because I just think they were really spot on. So one said, being a sneakerhead isn't about being consumptive. It's about appreciating the design and legacy of sneakers as wearable art. I personally have never doubled up and owned less than 20 pairs, but I've been invested in the culture for decades. And one of you said, oh, TJ, I'm going to inspire you. I have like 5 pairs. Sir, I am not Wonder Woman, okay? I'm not a superhero. Far from that. I'm going to be very far from that. But I thank you. I appreciate you, but I'm going to be very far from that, okay? I just thought that was really well said. The fact that they said they've never doubled up. I have, not necessarily in the sense of I went out on release day at the exact same time to double up on a pair. No, but like I have 2 pairs of the Air Force One Shadow because one I was gifted from being part of like a Nike campaign with Outfit Grid. Another one I bought on deep discount working at Foot Locker. And then I have some double ups of Friends collaborations and 2 gifted pairs of I'm on ear. So those are the double ups that I have. But let's move on to another great comment. It said, not aging out, just embracing practicality. What is the function of the shoe? Is it really being worn? And I mean the functionality of the shoe with your style and your lifestyle. I think that really hits home. And then someone said, I love these conversations. Tastes change faster than we realize. Guilty. Most of us ran out of room before we know it. Did I not say the number one enemy of sneakerheads is space, okay? Moreover, it is a borderline sickness. Yeah, when I partly said that, I brought up how we are level 1 hoarders, and like a lot of people don't want to admit that. It's okay. Like, self-awareness is the first step, okay? It's the first step. Knowing it and still loving it. He said, I don't know, man, and I'm only 15 minutes into the podcast. Yeah, it was an amazing podcast. If you haven't caught that episode, I would say definitely run it back, okay? Great episode. Of course, it's in the description box of this video. And then finally, someone said, I started collecting in 2002, and I'm still following releases and enter a few sneakers draws. But I feel the same desire. I don't feel the same desire to want to own every pair. You can still be a sneakerhead and mature beyond consumerism. The two are not mutually exclusive. And I think that's the message to drive home before we get out of here. You can love and appreciate these pairs. You really can. Like one of my favorite designers, and I only own like 2 sneakers in relation to him. I had a third one and ended up giving that away. Or 2 and ended up giving them away. Joe Freshgoods ran it back. It was like an opportunity he dropped for every pair that he's ever done with New Balance. They went in the vault, whatever pairs they had, whatever sizes they had, they released those to the public to be able to enjoy. I love that, but also just the black joy that he has in his storytelling is just, it's any and everything. And I've told so many people that I really, really appreciate it. Again, love what he's doing. Appreciate it. Continue to champion him. The consumption that I may participate in is just going to be different now. So they don't have to be mutually exclusive of each other. Please understand that. And some of you will comment under, other creators' channels that, listen, I got bills to pay. I have a family. I have school to take care of. I'm trying to pay down these student loans, which there are always things changing in the landscape. You're trying to possibly become credit card debt free. You're trying to pay off a house. Maybe you want to save for a house. Maybe you want to save for experiences because those mean more to you. Those memories can never be taken away. You can always go and just get the shoe. You can. So that's all I got. And if you didn't catch my recent video, listen, I added an Asics. I have an Asics Gel 1130. And I am a very big fan, but there was a deeper message in that video. So please be sure to check that out. As always, act your age, not your shoe size. Peace.